if there's a way for you to have that pulled up somehow later on in the class or have easy access to it, or you know what, does it freeze me when I go off the Zoom page, or does it continue to, like, am I frozen?
No,
Or
you're
not?
not frozen. We can still see it.
Okay, excellent. So I'm actually going to go pull that picture up, and I can share my screen here in a minute, because we're actually going to do this technique together. And because I always love it when we can practice what's being taught. So emotional freedom technique, also known as EFT, but if you use the acronym EFT, that acronym can actually stand for a number of different techniques. So what I'm going to walk you through tonight comes from the Ultimate Balance book. It is an excellent book. EFT is only one of many techniques taught or talked about in this book. It integrates the meridian system of your body. Yep, Shelby's got it. It integrates the meridian system and acupressure points, or acupuncture points along the meridians. You're actually tapping beginning and ending meridian points. Now, for those of you, and I don't know everybody that's here, but for those of you that are not familiar with meridians and energy centers and that kind of thing, let me tell you a little bit about my background. Let me tell you what I understand this to be. So I'm a nurse by training. I have a 4-year degree in biology. I have a 4-year degree in nursing. I am as sciencey as they get. And I was trained 100% in Western medicine. During my training, I was taught we are chemical, we are physical. I had one hokey nursing school teacher, who taught about holistic patient care. But her idea of holistic was you address the family dynamic, you address the spiritual dynamic, you address the emotional dynamic. There was no acknowledgement that we have an energetic aspect to us. Now, what's really interesting is there is actually a growing body of science, Western science, that is beginning to acknowledge acupuncture and the acupuncture points along the meridian systems. They're actually injecting these points with radioactive dye. And as they take the x-rays or as they take the imaging, they're actually seeing the meridian lines appear, because that radioactive dye actually follows along that meridian line more densely than it does the surrounding tissues. So there is beginning to be an acknowledgement of the fact that we have an energetic network in our bodies. So when I think of an energetic network, I think of the power grid that exists over a city, and how you have power lines that come into different neighborhoods, and you have power lines that go out and continue to carry power to other neighborhoods. And I don't know about you, but I love those jungle gym looking like things that sit alongside the road, that they have like these massive high fences and all this razor wire around them, because you better not get in there because there's so much energy in there. But if a squirrel gets in there, the squirrel gets fried, but then it affects power upstream from that location or that energy center, and it affects power downstream from that energy center. So we have a power grid of our body, or in our body, and we have neighborhoods of where those power grids go in, and we have specific, you've got the neighborhood of your brain, you've got the neighborhood of your spleen, you've got the neighborhood of your liver. There's power that comes into those, and then there's power that goes out. And the energy flow in our body is like this big river. Like they all kind of flow into each other. And if a squirrel gets into that power grid and fries a transformer, it's going to affect power upstream and it's going to affect power downstream. You could also think of it as a beaver. If a beaver gets in and builds the dam, it's going to affect the river upstream and it's going to affect the river downstream. So that's kind of how I've wrapped my head around this weird, what's a meridian? What's an energy center? Please explain. That sounds very new agey to me. So in Eastern medicine combines their faith and their physical well-being in a very integrated way. Now, ironically, here in America, the most Christian country in the world, you really separate our faith and our health. Like, you know, we acknowledge certain aspects of it, but really faith and health don't go hand in hand the way they do in Eastern medicine. But I would encourage you, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because a religion has named things a certain whatever doesn't mean that it's not true. All truth is God's truth. If you're a Christian and you're approaching your health from a Christian perspective, all truth is God's truth, and the enemy can do nothing but counterfeit what God has created. Okay? So just because a culture has twisted stuff doesn't mean it's not true. So you have a power grid in your body. Your power grid directly impacts your emotions and your physical health. Now, we don't have enough time tonight to talk about meridians and physical health, but we're going to talk about meridians and emotions. And I'm going to teach you a really simple, really easy trick to take control of negative emotions and really turn them on their head. So the technique's called emotional freedom technique. And I'm going to go pull up the graphic, the screenshot that I have of that, excuse me, of this page. Oh, where'd it go? It was right there earlier. Okay, so emotional freedom technique, the way I like to use it is to come up with an affirmation. And that affirmation that I posted earlier is one of my favorites. Here it is. And, but if you have a goal, if you struggle with emotions around a certain person, if you struggle with emotions around anxiety or that type of thing, that's what you want to use this for. So let me share my screen real quick, and hopefully y'all can see this. So these are the basic 9 points that will be used for tapping. So I'm going to read a little bit about how you want to craft your affirmation. And then if it's okay with you, I'll switch the screen and we'll just use the affirmation that I have that I posted earlier. So if there is something negative that you want to overcome, something that's triggering to you. For example, recently I did an affirmation around my body's ability to release excess weight. I had a really tough year, 2019. I won't get into that, but my body became pretty uncomfortable to be in. So I did an affirmation around that because I'd kind of gotten stuck in my head where I'm like, I have no control over this. It just is what it is. And I'm just kind of stuck. Like I'd gotten in a really negative position in my head. And I was like, well, I know that that's not true. And like my conscious mind was like, well, Joy, you have all the tools in the world. Like that's not true. But my subconscious had believed the lie. So when I thought of releasing excess weight, I had this no hope response. So affirmations can be negative statements that surround an issue that may be that surround an issue. But then what you do is you repeat or you state the positive that strengthen the issue. Tapping while repeating the negative statement followed by the positive will release it from the subconscious mind by engaging the energetic part of your body. Now, you can do this with or without oils. Okay. If you're driving down the highway and you have a negative statement pop into your head and you're like, oh, nope, not me, cancel, delete, and you want to write in the positive, you can tap right then and there. It's super simple. But if you incorporate oils, it strengthens that even more, right? Because oils have frequency that affect our bodies. And so if you smell perhaps release, if you smell a drop of frankincense and lavender together in your hand while you're doing this, and I would add, better yet, put it on the 9 tapping points. So the 9 points that I'm going to show you where to tap, put a little bit of that oil on those points before you tap, and then tap that oil. It's kind of like VitaFlex. You're going to VitaFlex it in. You're going to put it in. Okay. So after tapping while repeating the positive statement or affirmation, it will strengthen that attitude in the subconscious mind, especially if you use statements. And if you're taking notes, please write this down. You're going to use statements that start with I am, I choose, or I intend. There is power in spoken word. And I've gotten to the place in my life that when I'm with people and people say, my rheumatoid arthritis, my this, my that, and they're claiming these diseases, it just makes the hackles on the back of my neck stand up. And I'm like, why are you speaking this over yourself? Okay. So be cautious with what you speak about yourself. Now, I am an optimistic realist. Okay. We have struggles in our lives, but we also have power to change that and to change those struggles. EFT is super easy because it's very flexible. Like I said, you can incorporate oils. You don't have to incorporate oils. I have tapped going down the road. Did I do it perfect? The intention behind it was perfect and it was effective. Okay. So, with your affirmation, the more specific, the better. And the more specific about the negative side and the more specific about the positive side, the better. Identify a specific person, place, experience, memory, sight, sound, event, feeling, or sensation associated with the issue. Talk about how the negative makes you feel. And then follow that up with, but I choose. And then what do you want your positive to be? Be specific. But I choose to feel empowered to make wise choices about what I put in my mouth, about what I choose to eat. So an example in the book says, I feel fear when I think about, state the issue, my stomach starts to churn and get jittery. My heart rate rises. I wish I didn't have to do whatever the issue is. And even though I feel fear, I still completely and profoundly love and accept myself. I choose to feel safety and security about same issue. I am excited about going to do this particular issue. So very specific, very detailed in what do you want, or what are you experiencing that's negative that you want to leave, that you want to change. So to begin the whole EFT process, you're going to think about your affirmation and on a scale of 0 to 10. Now, I choose to do it a little bit different. You choose how you want. But on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is the most intense of triggers. Okay, so 10 is negative, 0 is you feel nothing. So when I thought about releasing excess weight, how intense was that trigger for me, right? Like how believing was I that I could release it? Was I like, oh yes, not a problem, I'm a 0, we're good? Or was it like, not an ice cube's chance, and heck, I can do this? And that would be a 10. So write that down. Write down how triggering that is for you. Then you're going to go through the process of tapping. And at the end of the tapping routine, you're going to check back in. Okay, now when I think about XYZ, how triggering is that to me? Have I made progress and it's getting less intense? Okay. With each point, you're going to tap each point about 7 times. Now, those of you that are crazy rule followers, I want you to take a big, fat, deep breath. Okay, your teacher tonight is the baby of 6 children, and rules were made to be guidelines. Okay, don't get hung up on, oh, I only tapped that one 5 times, it didn't work. It's not about that. It's not about the rules. It's about the intention of relieving and removing stress from your body. The guideline is each point you're going to tap about 7 times. Okay, you're going to tap them preferably in a specific order. I have messed up the order and realized I'd messed up the order before, and it still worked. Perhaps that's what my body needed. That's the flow that my body needed. And so really it wasn't an accident. It was my body kind of hijacking my brain and saying, nope, we need to go here next. Okay. Now, I've also done all 9 points 3 times in a row without stopping and checking in. It's okay. All right. And there's a number of moving parts here tonight. So, the reason I'm now going to, oh dear, how can I wonder if I can share 2 screens at one time. Hallelujah. Okay, can you guys see kind of the split screen, right? Somebody give me a thumbs up. You can see the words here and we can see the points over here. Okay, point number 1 that we're going to tap is called the karate chop point. It's right here on the side of your hand. Point number 2 is right here. Sad picture, but it's right here at the very top or crown of your head. That's point number 2. Point number 3 is right here on the edge of your eyebrow. And then I love this part because you just work your way down the body. Point number 4 is right here on the edge of your eye. Point number 5 is right here under your eye. And then top lip, bottom lip, clavicles, and then choose one arm or the other, under one arm or the other, okay? So let's everybody practice. Karate chop point, top of your head, eyebrow, outside of your eye, under your eye, top lip, bottom lip, clavicles, under your arm. Okay? So after you tap your hand, you go to the top of your head and you just work your way down your body. Okay? Clear as mud? All right. So here's where it can get like trying to chew gum and pat and scratch your head and pat your belly all at the same time. You will speak out loud your affirmation while you are tapping. Okay? So we're not just going to state the affirmation and then tap. While we are tapping, we are going to state the affirmation. Now, you will notice this particular affirmation does not have the negative. Okay? So that's missing from this affirmation. But this is just a solid affirmation about health and healing and acceptance of self. If you have a specific negative issue that you struggle with, go ahead and create your affirmation and include the negative and include how that particular whatever makes you feel. But for the sake of this class, and the simplicity of this statement and the truth about this statement, we're just going to use this. All right. All right. I'm going to take a drink real quick and then we'll do this together.
On the right side, I don't see any words. I just see a blank screen. Am I supposed to see the affirmation on the right?
You should see it mid-screen. Rhonda, where is it for you? Do you not see it? Okay. Now do you, hold on. Stop share. Screen
Like it was split, but there was just nothing on that one.
Ta-da!
Oh, there we go. Yay.
Okay, it's because it apparently wouldn't share the screen behind the screen that I was sharing. So, okay, so you guys follow me as far as tapping goes, okay? And if you want to mute yourself so not everybody hears what you say, but then just follow my tapping directions. And I'm not going to speak. I'm just going to show the tapping. But what you will do is we're going to begin with karate chop. And actually, I'm going to talk. And we're going to tap each one 7 times each. And while we're tapping, we're going to read this statement over and over and over until we get to the end. Okay. So body, you are healthy, safe, loved, and healed. You easily dissolve any stress, burden, toxin, or excess weight in your path. For this, I am truly grateful. Body, you are healthy, safe, loved, and healed. You easily dissolve any stress, burden, toxin, or excess weight in your path. For this, I am truly grateful. Now, I forgot something. We should have all checked in with how do we feel about this on a scale of 0 to 10, right? When I first started this, y'all, and this was my affirmation to overcome my challenge, this was like a 10 to me. Like, I was like, I don't easily dissolve anything. Like, I'm stuck. And just reading that tonight, I'm like, heck yeah. Like, I am empowered, and this is true of me. So my challenge to you is, where are you stuck? And in good old Joy Ballard fashion, prove me wrong that this doesn't work. Like, it doesn't cost you anything, but maybe like 30 seconds of your day. And if you find that, okay, I, made an affirmation about something, but I still just, get with a buddy and say, would you check my affirmation? Like, would you help me kind of work this one over? Help me look at that and see, do I need to tweak it? What do I need to do? Do I need to include something else about it? Get specific, get down into it, and really feel how it makes your body feel. Lean into that and then find your way out, because this particular technique is so powerful. I'm in a group that I taught this technique, and some of the testimonies coming out of it are just amazing. So, what questions do y'all have?
So if, like, I've heard
Uh-oh. I can't tell who's talking.
I did one about money, and I literally felt like I was gonna puke. Oh, am I slowed down? Hold on. I'll text it.
Okay. What if you feel like you're absolutely, my body is healthy and well. It easily fights off any germs that try to attack it. Release that. Absolutely. There was a lady here tonight that just had jaw surgery. And if I wasn't a complete stranger to her, she was in quite a bit of pain. And it's like, I invited her to this class and I'm like, I'm going to teach you something really cool. And she's like, I can't, but it's like, release pain.
I may,
Go ahead, Rhonda.
Joy, and you may have the same answer, but I just want to make sure because I'm reading what Shelby's asking a little bit differently, possibly.
Okay.
I'm wondering, Shelby, are you saying that as you were tapping, you began to feel sick?
Oh.
That's the way I read it. So I would defer to you to say, is that different? And what would you say then?
So one of the things I've experienced recently with heavy duty emotions, it's that sometimes the way our bodies release them for some people is through the digestive system by eliminating them. And I am friends, acquaintances with a lady that when she does energy type work, her routine response is to vomit. Like her body's like, yep, I'm done with that. I'm going to release it. And, to our Western mindset, we're like, like, that's terrible. If it gets you past it, is it terrible? Right? See, it seems like a pretty benign way to move past and release an emotional block. Now, you may, if you're not comfortable with that, step back just a little bit from it and maybe try a different, less threatening affirmation, maybe around something that's not quite so intense. If someone has a fear of heights, perhaps tapping their ability to jump out of an airplane is not a wise choice. That might be a little bit intense. Maybe I can ride a glass elevator would be comfortably. Adela says, I got really sick with AFT and talked to Carrie Ingram about it. She said, I may need to back up on my affirmation. It was a huge leap and I needed to back up and release something else. Absolutely. Take a step back. And, I'm a huge proponent of listening to your body and listening to your intuition, listening to the Holy Spirit, leaning into that. Yeah. And yes, our bodies are amazing. Our bodies are absolutely amazing. Anybody else have questions or comments?
What are some of the oils that you would use for this? I mean, release. I guess release is an oil, but what else?
Surrender, acceptance. I know with AFT, there's the mixture of, is it frankincense and lavender that rewrites? Is that right? Somebody who's more knowledgeable about AFT. And, AFT for some folks is super effective. AFT for me was really complicated. And, I'm a tumbleweed, fly by the seat of my pants, and I can do this going down the road. And when something pops in my head and I'm like, nope, cancel, delete, I'm going to tap it. And so is there training for this? I think you got the training and I think you roll with it. I think tonight was the training. And, you know, I mean, Rhonda, correct me if I'm wrong. There is a lot of freedom in this. I don't believe that if your intention is to better your body, that you're going to do it wrong. If your intention is to release and move past emotional blocks, that's what's going to happen whether you do it right or wrong. It's kind of like oils, right? Like, is there a wrong oil? No, not really. Is there a wrong way to use an oil? Leave it in the bottle. You know, is there a wrong way to EFT? Yeah, don't do it. That's wrong. Is there a more right way? Maybe. I don't know. Like, I've quote unquote done it wrong before and it worked great. So karate chop point, crown of your head point, eyebrow, side of the eye or temple, under your eye, upper lip, lower lip, collarbone, under your arm. That's the order of tapping. And I've messed that up before and it worked great. And there's other modalities that I've been trained in that the order is actually different. I don't know why. All of them work. You know, if you're in a traumatic situation or you come up on an accident and it's a traumatic situation, have this person tap. I am calm. I am safe. I am relaxed. Like, have them say I am statements and then tap. It's great. It works wonders. If you get on YouTube, there's a lot of people that have entire YouTube channels on tapping and specific tapping statements. It's almost like a rabbit hole. Like, it just goes on and on and on. But this is the tip of the iceberg. Like, this is simple. It works when it's applied. All right. What AFT and EFT? Rhonda? EFT is simple. I don't know. AFT is a lot more involved. I'm not terribly versed in AFT.
I'm not trained in it, but Suzanne was on here. I don't know if she still is. I think she's trained in it. She might be able to, if she's still here, to address that. But it's a much more, you know, in-depth process and detailed process. So
Doesn't AFT also have kind of a part where they help you form your affirmation? And so EFT does not have that as a built-in part of this, other than telling you to build your affirmation around what you want to address. So AFT, the person who walks you through that, is trained in helping you form your affirmation.
and sometimes I think part of the difference too, Joy, might possibly be there are times that we are in a funk or we feel stuck or, you know, that type of thing. I'm trying to find the right words, but we're not sure why. Or we don't want to dig and figure out why on our own. We're, you know, it's a little scary to us. And so with the other technique, it kind of helps you to dig deeper, especially if you don't have an idea of, you know, what's going on. Now, I personally totally agree with you, Joy, when you say if I just don't feel quite right, I can make an affirmation around that and tap. I don't have to get into I don't have to identify everything and dig everything up. That's just me. That's what Rhonda believes. To get some good benefit and to be able for the body to release, because the body really doesn't want to hold on to this stuff.
Well, and you can even do an affirmation around my subconscious lets me know why I'm in a funk.
Sure.
Your collarbone here, this is the acupressure point called K27. And in another technique that I'm trained in, it's kind of called the subconscious point. And if you're struggling to figure out what's the root or where does it need to go, you can go right here and you can wiggle it. And you can say, my subconscious admits what I need to know to tap. Like you just wiggle it and activate those points. I know that sounds weird, but I tell you what, Rhonda Favano has taught a lot of weird things, and I've tried to prove a lot of them wrong, and I've yet to prove a lot of them wrong. So, you know, it's simple. And it's powerful. It's up to you to apply it to your life. It's kind of like those oils that we have. I can teach you about them, but I can't come sprinkle them on you. Like, you're going to have to do the hard work here. And I would encourage you all to do that. So other thoughts tonight before we go?
Could you say that one more time? I thought that was profound about what the collarbone, what you said, my subconscious, like an
My
affirmation.
Yeah, my subconscious admits what I need to know to form my affirmation. I don't know if that's an exact repeat. All right, I wanted to keep tonight short, simple technique, not complicated. It's up to you guys to go apply it. And I would love to hear testimonies on the Anointing Nations page, those of you that apply it. And there are 20 plus on this call tonight. There should be 20 plus testimonies popping up in the next few days about how you applied EFT to your life. So have a great night, and thanks for joining in.
Joy, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you much. You guys, we're doing Oils of the Bible next Tuesday, and the root of disease is on Thursday, 7:30, same time. So see you guys then. Thank you, Joy.
You're welcome. Have a great night.